Ah, oh, that's hot. That's hot. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and the genres that define us. This is episode number 51. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me, as always, is my ride or die, my right-hand man, the most amazing co-host, one of the best friends in the world. It is the one, the only, the wonderful. It is Mr. Nick Johnson. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing good, Doug. You a real one for that, man. I'm doing really good. Happy to be here, as per always.
Of course, man. I have a Bad Boys theme in tonight, man. Tonight's theme is obviously Bad Boys, with the release of Bad Boys Ride or Die coming out, so I had to use my Ride or Die, which you are, my friend, to be on par with this weekend's movie.
Yes,
obviously.
sir. Right back at you, bro.
Man, and we hope you all enjoyed our little reaction, out of theater reaction, little vlog we did for our Bad Boy screening. Yeah, guys, Bad Boys Ride or Die coming out this weekend. Go to the movies, please. Go to the movies, please, please, please. You know, Nick and I can attest to this. Like the past few months, now we've seen some great movies. Where y'all at? Go to the box office. Go to the movies. Help us help you. But no, we're also glad. If you're new to the show, welcome to the podcast. If you're returning to the show, welcome back to the show. As always, guys, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. We also have a full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. We see YouTube fans. Thank you for growing our channel. We're growing and growing. Mostly thanks to you guys loving our Expendables 4 out of theater reaction, which is now like
Bro, thank y'all.
Which is now on the rise of like 54,000 views, which is like crazy. We're on the dawn of that, bro. And we're talking about a screening.
That's insane.
On Monday of like, out of all
That's
things
wild.
it
Never stops growing. But of course, we love it though. We love it.
We love it, man. We'll take it because it's like, out of all the things we've seen some amazing movies, that some really cool press screenings, stuff like that. But for some reason, Expendables 4 is the one that is helping growing our channel to what it is.
Thank you, Expendables 4.
Expendables. Thank you for being what you are. It was a line from The Office goes, "Why are you the way that you are? I hate the things you choose to be." But no, thank you.
Oh my gosh. No, that's real. That's real.
We're trying to grow the YouTube. You know, Nick obviously has great experience with YouTube with his amazing channel, Dawning Vision, his amazing short film. Nick has definitely had like, the YouTube knowledge for sure. So we're trying to grow that this summer, as well as kind of like within the year, stuff like that. So stay tuned for more updates regarding that. And we have a lot more screenings this summer. We got a lot in the pipeline. We got Deadpool and Wolverine. We got The Bike Riders. We got Quiet Place. We got a lot more on the pipeline for you. Again, if you're on YouTube right now, look at all our out of theater reactions. Check those out. Share with your friends and movie fans. But yeah, of course, any podcast, any YouTube, any video format, rate, review. Please subscribe to the show. I want to hear from you guys. Comments, reviews, ratings, good, bad, neutral. Your opinion means so much to us. We want to hear from you. What are you liking the show? Are you not liking the show? Hey, all good press is good press. We'll take it. And especially for our Apple Podcast listeners, we need your help gain 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts as soon as possible. You know, the more ratings we get on Apple Podcasts, the more events we can go to, more things we can cover for the show and screening, stuff like that. So people love seeing more kind of growth on Apple Podcasts, especially for podcasting. You know, even though Spotify, we love you Spotify users and listeners, we really do. Keep rating us on the show. But for our Apple Podcast listeners, we really need your help hitting the 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts as soon as possible. So rate, review, share with your friends, family, movie fans, neighbors, janitors, whoever, people like your priests, preachers, anyone. We really need your help with getting the Apple Podcast ratings, because yeah, we love doing these shows. One of the biggest honors of our lives. And again, we love doing it every week, and we have again a lot more in store for you guys. So have your notifications ready. Remember, episode drops every Friday on your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube. And as always, guys, thank you so much for your support. We truly, truly, truly appreciate it. Alrighty, my friends. So the big thing this week, obviously, was Venom. Venom 3, The Last Dance. I almost said Carnage. I'm like, that was the second movie. And you and I have seen the two together. We saw the first one with Moses in college, and I remember walking that movie. Us three were like we were nervous because we were hearing like just like really like mixed things about this movie, and I remember you and I
Yeah.
talking at like the dining
It
hall.
kind of seemed like it had a lot of things just like going against it. Because it was like, oh,
Yes.
it's gonna be like rated R, and then it's like, no, okay, now it's gonna be PG-13, and it's like, oh my God, that's gonna be fucking whack.
Hmm. And also too, that was also the year of like really like great comic book movies with Black Panther and Infinity War. So like the stage was already set for like really good comic book material with those movies, obviously. So when Venom was coming out, I think everyone's like very curious because they're like, wait a second, is Spider-Man going to be in this? Is it not going to be in it? What's guys going to connect, whatever? Because it was the first. I mean, it was also before Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out too. So it was kind of like the first really Sony spin-off Spider-Man related movie because up until then, it was Spider-Man: Homecoming was the MCU. It was the Disney and Sony shared movie. So this was the first Sony outing of their own. But I just remember walking in with Moses and you. We were like, "Oh, dude!" Like, I think we walked in. People we knew were like, "Yeah, shit was whack, whatever." You and me, and Moses, was like, "All right, we'll just see how this goes, whatever." And I remember just like, I know we talked
Yeah.
about this before on the podcast, but I remember you, me, and Moses having a good time. Like we were having fun, we were laughing, we were like, we were doing the ride. Is it top 10 best comic book movie ever
Yeah, it
top
was
of all
because
time?
it turned out to be a really fun movie.
It's a fun
And
movie. It's a fun
personally, I
movie.
think I like it the best out of the two so far.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you on that, probably.
Yeah, the first one just seemed like a little bit more solid, but it was just like it was like damn that shit was fucking dope.
It was
Like
fun.
the action was good, the horror was good. It was fun.
It was a fun time. I remember it ended. You and me and Moses were like, that wasn't that bad. Like, this was fun. And again, we walked out, it was like 25%
Yeah,
Rotten Tomatoes, and we were like, whatever. But that
that's
movie,
insane to me.
that's a little too harsh in that movie. I was like, 25%? I was like, oh, all right. Um, I think what all three of us said were like it was a fun time in the movies. It was a lot of fun. Yes, is it like top 10 ever? No, of course
Hmm.
not. But it was just fun. I think Tom Hardy killed it as Venom. I think all three of us said that we wish it was rated R, and so we're like, all right, cool. And then obviously that movie was critic proof because that movie made so much money. The movie made so much money opening weekend. It made almost like $1 billion, which is crazy. Almost like I think it almost made like almost 900 mil.
Damn.
The movie about Spider Man almost made that money,
Mm.
which is crazy.
Oh wow.
And so it was kind of like, wow, we're another one's greenlit. You and I saw that. So when you and I saw it, like right when COVID was getting better, it was like October 2021. You and I were like, okay, it was fun. But what really hyped
Mm.
us up was obviously spoilers. It's been 3 years. That mid credit scene when Tom Hardy's in the hotel room and then we see like the what's happening, and then you see J. Jonah Jameson, you see J.K. Simmons, and you see Tom Holland as Spider Man. And you and I and the people in the crowd were like, get the fuck out of here! Like,
Bro, like we was jumping up and down in the seats, man. That was insane.
we were going crazy. It's that Harrison Ford thing. Get the fuck out of my house! Like we, we were just like, oh, you and I were like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And then it was like, boom. And you and I were like, yo, December 2021 can't come soon enough for Spidey. Like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? And so I think you and I both liked the first one more. But what'd you think of like Carnage, the movie overall? Like, did you think it was a worthy sequel, or how'd you feel about it as a kind of continuation of the story that's been set up already?
Like I kind of after watching it, because I was really excited to see Venom, but I feel like they maybe should have waited to do Venom for part three
I see.
because it just seemed kind of like it felt like it happened. It felt a little bit rushed to be honest, and then like he didn't really have the presence that I wanted him to. He seemed kind of like a side character. And I kind of didn't know what was going on when they had Naomi Harris and they were like, oh, she's a mutant. It was like, are y'all setting up X-Men, but in like
Hmm.
alternate universe? Because also now I'm kind of like, oh, I wonder if the X-Men that we saw in the end credit scene of the Marvels is maybe the Venom universe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here because it's like they clearly referenced the whole mutant thing because they were trying to tie it into like the X-Men, but it's just weird that it was like Sony doing that instead of like Disney.
Yeah, and remember too. This has been confirmed now. Is that Back in there was rumors that Tom Holland shot something for Venom back when whatever, and apparently, I guess they didn't get
Yeah.
Disney's approval on that, and then when it happened, Disney goes, "Nope, take him out, take him out, take him out." Like they were pissed because they were like, "Wait, what?" Because Sony at the time, the deal between Sony and Disney was okay, 95.5. You can have Spider-Man. So Sony owns the theatrical and gaming rights to Spider-Man. Disney,
Yes.
however, owns the rights to merchandise, theme parks, all that jazz. So when they came to do
Hmm.
Homecoming, obviously in Civil War, Spider-Man can appear in a bunch of Marvel movies as a kind of as a side character. That's well, not like Avengers, Civil War, kind of like that, as kind of like a team member, whatever, but not his own movie. And Sony would get none of that money,
Yeah.
which makes sense. However, when Sony was doing like Homecoming and Far From Home and No Way Home, sorry for Homecoming and Far From Home, the first two movies, Sony got 95% of the first of everything, and then Disney got like 5% of like the return as well. So like they were still making money, whatever. And then obviously, as we all know, I think it was like our senior year of college, 2019, was when we found out that okay, so, Disney wants half. And Sony goes, "Fuck no, we're not giving you half." And I think people were kind of mad at Sony. And I was more mad at Disney because I'm just like, you don't need half of this character. You already own everyone else already. You already own Iron Man and Captain America and Black Widow, Black Panther, Doctor Strange. Like you own those characters already. You're good. You're good. You chill with that. And there's a huge breakup between Marvel and Sony, and Tom Holland was mad about it too. And so it was just like it was very uncertain of what's going to happen next. We're like, oh, here we go again. But at the same time, Far From Home's grossed $1 billion with 2019. Into the Spider Verse won an Oscar. It's one of the most beloved Spider movies of all time.
Damn.
And so it was just like all this was happening. Sony goes, "We don't need you guys anymore." And it was like I was like, you kind of do because of the story that how Far From Home ends with the cliffhanger. You're like, all right, sure, I guess. And then when the deal came back, it
Hmm.
was 70-30. So Sony got 70, Disney got 30, which I think is still way too much for Disney. They already own a lot of stuff already, so it's like you're good. You're getting you're a little too greedy there, Disney. So obviously when that happened, but again,
They
but
wanted it all, man. Loki, I can't blame them though.
I just don't trust Disney with Spider-Man really. I just feel like right now, Sony ran out with their character, with their minor characters, with at their Morbius and Madam Web. And I kind of lost faith in them as well.
Yes, so, Sony can they act like they can't they can only make like a Spider-Man movie, man. Because besides Venom, like the other ones just kind of like weren't really hitting like that. I don't know about you, that's how I felt.
Oh, I agree. You supposed to be talking about Madam Web. How Madam Web was awful. Morbius was awful. It's like, what are y'all doing here? And
Yeah, Madam Web, Morbius. There was another one I think.
Craven's coming out in December, and I'm hearing good things about it. So there's hope, but small amount of hope, I would say.
Yeah, apparently they said they want to wait to release it until the holidays because I feel like people are just gonna keep seeing it over and over and over again. I'm like, that's
I
mighty
heard that
confident in
too.
y'all.
I heard that too, and also now
I'm like, you better be bringing it.
you also have more. You also have Morbius. You also have Venom 3 now coming out. Um, coming out right before a month and a half before Craven. So maybe there's like a reason for that. Who knows? But that shows kind of
Yeah, and
confidence.
actually,
But
speaking of Venom 3, what are your thoughts on the trailer, bro?
so I think I saw it the day we saw Bad Boys, and I saved my thoughts today for the podcast today. I have like you, I have enjoyed both of these movies. I think I've had a good time with both these movies. I think I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I think I like kind of the voice, like the banter between the
Hmm.
two, very very buddy cop, or kind of like Lethal Weapon kind of vibe, which I like about it. This trailer,
Yeah,
I like the first trailer for Venom 1, the first trailer for Venom 2. I'm not gonna lie to you, my boy. I was not feeling this trailer. I I thought it was 3 minutes, way too
it
long.
seemed a little bit underwhelming.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed a little bit underwhelming, but I kind of have a theory, man, because I'm wondering if it's just they're not really showing like hopefully they're doing like how they did with Endgame, where they didn't really they only showed us like the first 5 minutes of the movie basically. So then we
Right.
had no idea what was gonna happen like the other 2 hours or 55 minutes. Like I'm hoping that's what it is. Cause I'm with you, like it's like, yeah, nothing really happened, man. Like he made like a little Venom horse, But like, what's that? And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, Chiwetel Ejiofor is here in a Marvel movie, but he's not Mordo. But I'm wondering if this is kind of my really quick theory, and it could be complete bullshit. But I'm wondering if like these guys, because when he showed up, he was in the bar that Tom Hardy was
Thank
in at
you.
the end of No Way Home when he was in the MCU. So I'm wondering, like, is this like military group or whatever able to like hop to different universes? And it's like, huh, that's kind of interesting. And now it's like uh the other symbiotes or whatever are coming. So it's kind of like, okay, I wonder what's going on. You know what I mean? And like they had uh Reese Ifans, I might be mispronouncing that, but he was the guy that played Dr. Kirk Connors, the AKA the Lizard,
Yeah.
in Amazing Spider-Man and I guess technically No Way Home.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like,
that's him.
okay, he's coming back. And I kind of thought like maybe this is just like this is what happened to him like after. Like he looked like he was kind of bumming it. And it's like, I guess that would make sense. Cause like I thought that they would like take him back at his job after all of that. But so like I was kind of thinking like, okay, this is just confirmation that it's the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe. But apparently there was like a little kid in the trailer, and that's like that's young Peter Parker, but it's like a different young Peter Parker. And apparently Tom Hardy has been saying this Venom universe has its own Spider-Man. So it's like, what is going on here?
Uh, oh my god, dude. Just okay. So okay. So I'm with okay. So yeah, I'm gonna go with you on that right now too. I that when I saw Chiwetel F was saw him, I was like, he's not playing Doctor Strange's character, but I'm just like, and to your point too, I'm like, wait, we're seeing the bartender again. I know from Ted Lasso, Danny Rojas, I forgot the actor's name, but you're right. Like we saw him in No Way at the same bar that we saw him in No Way Home, and I think you've all heard
Yeah, he
my
was
take on that. It was
yeah,
just
in
like,
the
yeah, what?
MCU.
Yeah, it's in the MCU, and I thought that end credit scene was just a bit of like a what? And I remember being in the lobby after seeing it with you, Kalen, and Zeta, where I was just like, what? I was just like, all that hype of having him in No Way Home, that post credit scene in Venom 2, to see that, I was like, what a
Yeah,
fucking
it's like,
waste.
what'd you bring him over for if you weren't gonna do nothing with them?
There was a rumor that the
That
original
just felt
script.
it felt like
Go ahead.
huh?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. It just I was just saying like it was kind of like it was like okay, way to not fucking deliver on that because
Yeah,
we was
dude.
hyped ever since we seen that end credit scene, bro.
I fucking know, dude. I just remember like we were all like at that theater we were in when we saw Venom too, and we were like, yo, what? And then it was like, oh my god! It was like, no, no, no. Then we were like, oh my! And everyone in the crowd was like, people around us were like, yo, we were like, whoa! We were just like, no way! You know, we're geeking out. We're like, dude, oh my god! Like, I was gonna happen. I remember being in the
Yeah,
parking lot with you after that movie. You were like, yo, like we might see this, we might see this, and then that happened at No Way Home, and I was like, I still love No Way Home for that, but I was just like, what? I was like, oh, what a fucking cock tease. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, what like a little blue ball, man. Like, I was just like, she's my French, everybody, but like, I was just
like
like,
low key though.
man, I was so bummed. So, wait, I'm sorry. So I didn't see Riza Fons. Where was he in the trailer?
There was a scene where he was in a like he was in a van and there was like a hobo looking dude. That was him.
Really? What are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yo,
What are we doing here, everybody? What are we? Hold up.
yeah, I don't know
What
what's going on. And it's like, is this gonna lead into like a different Spider-Man universe or like
oh
what's kind of like
god.
the point of all that?
Yo, I really do. I really hope that we don't pull some Morbius type shit again, where it made no sense that why did Michael Keaton go to
Yeah,
Morbius's?
I kind of feel like they won't because it's like what's up?
I remember seeing Morbius, and I was mad the entire time. I was like, "What is this movie? This is pissing me off more and more and more." I didn't understand the thing where at the end of Morbius, when Michael Keaton wakes up in the cell, you see the purple, the universe
Uh-huh.
crack from No Way Home, and that they put Vulture, Michael Keaton in Morbius's world, and I was like, that makes no damn sense. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
it's like I guess they were they trying to set up for like the Sinister Six or something like that, but it was kind of like even I think like Michael Keaton said like Sony didn't really know what was going on, so it's like it kind of seems like they were just like throwing something together real quick.
It literally made no sense. I do think Morbius was supposed to come out before No Way Home because then COVID hit. So like You know, 'cause remember we talked about back in when the trailer came out, like we saw like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and we saw on like the walls and murderer over. Then we saw like the Daily Bugle logo from Tobey Maguire's on the bus or whatever. Like, or it was like, where's Spider-Man, stuff like that. So it was just like, why y'all showing this like to us? It's not gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
those are false promising. But I was really upset at the end. Morbius pissed me off for many reasons, but the end, when Michael Keaton wakes up in the cell, and the how lazy writing this movie was. It was like a man wakes up in the wrong cell, and that was released. And I was like, okay. I was like, sure. And then he finds his Vulture uniform, his outfit. I was like, what? Like, he didn't bring it on his badge.
Yes, like, so there was a Vulture here too, but no one was talking about it.
No one was talking about it. And then again, there was no mention of Spider-Man throughout the entire movie, and that's when the awful ADR like a line from Michael Keaton goes, I don't know how I got here. I think it's Spider-Man. And Morbius goes, I'm interested. Bro, you not mentioned Spider-Man once this entire movie. What the hell are y'all talking about? And I was sitting there just frustrated because I'm like, right. What are you guys doing? And it was just like, y'all just really hurt this legacy of these Spider-Man characters, and you know, Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like, this is dumb. So to your point, I hope they learn from that mistake of whatever the fuck Morbius was, because that ending made literally no sense. And now I'm kind of worried that they're gonna do the same thing. Like, oh, doesn't matter. Like, they better explain the thing with the bartender from and the little goo from No Way Home, because again, that was in the MCU. And I don't know what Sony's trying to play. Again, I really do love Sony as a company. I think they make some really great stuff. However, I just don't know what they're doing right now with this, you know, Spider-Man universe, because it seems very clunky and very just like disjointed. And spoilers for Madam Web. Oh no, spoilers. But that thing with Peter Parker made no sense. And Madam Web, like, can't say his name. And I was just like, what are we doing here, guys? Like,
yeah, it kind of seems like, what was the point of including Spider-Man in that?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really lead anywhere. Like, what was, like, why did they make this movie specifically? Was it supposed to tie into, like, the whole multiverse thing? Because it kind of just seemed like it didn't.
It makes no sense.
It just kind of seemed, like, basically pointless by the end of it.
So I'm asking you right now, because it's now what, June, and we have October 22nd. I think the movie comes out for Venom 3. Like, what's your like anticipation levels at for this movie as of now?
I feel like maybe at like a 6, because I want to see it, but I'm not like necessarily dying to.
Right.
But like I would see it in theaters though.
Oh, of course.
But it's not like oh man, I can't wait. Like you feel me? But it's like yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'm with you.
How about you?
I'm not like a 4 or a 5, because I watched the trailer twice, and again, I'm kind of again I gotta find Riz Ifans. I must have missed him like clear as day, and you know, I really do like the actors involved. I like Tom Hardy, I like Chiwetel, I like you know Juno Temple. Like, I like the people involved, but this just seems kind of just like. They don't. Yeah. This is kind of just like another Venom movie. Also, he's wearing the same costume the past 3 movies with the fucking the basketball shirt and like the thing with Vegas was kind of weird with Mrs. Chen, and they're dancing. Like, listen, I've embraced the weirdness of this. Oh, now I see him. I have it on my phone right now. I'm looking right now. Now I see Riz Ifans. Now I see him. Yep. I see him with the beard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That okay? That better be Kirk Connors. That better be Kirk Connors. Because now I'm gonna yell at the screen. I'm like, who is that? Because oh my gosh, dude!
Right.
I just this thing of like it's like it's only him, whatever. But I heard the same thing that you did. I heard the same thing that was just like that. It's Andrew Garfield's world, but there's another Spider-Man there. But he's a kid, whatever. I'm just like, guys, you gotta make up your mind. Or I've been saying this is day one of Venom. Just make your Spider-Man in this universe Miles Morales. There you go. You have a Spider-Man there. Does that be Peter Parker? It'll be Peter Parker. You can have a Miles. So if the MCU right now has Peter Parker, the Sony universe can have a Spider-Man. Yeah, you can have a Miles Morales, and that just makes sense. And as we saw in
Mhm.
Cross the Spider-Verse last year, that they can travel to different universes. We saw Mrs. Chen obviously in the Spider-Verse movie. We saw Donald Glover as a Prowler in one of the scenes. Like you can definitely
And
use that.
apparently he's the MCU prowler.
I heard that too. So I don't know how this is working out with Sony or Disney because I'm like, who like, what's fair game? I feel like Sony has more control because it's 70-30 them and they have more of like the rights of the
Mhm.
character. So I feel like they can do whatever the fuck they want. But at the same time, like just
Right.
be careful of who you include and also like just again think these things through. Like you can't just be like, yo, look, yeah, there's Michael Keaton and Morbius. Makes no damn sense. Oh look, there's Risa Fons, but he's not playing the lizard. It's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, like you can't give
Mhm.
us kind of these like little teases of the like, oh yeah, like little goo from No Way Home or look Risa Fons as Kirk Connors. It's like, wait, hold up, and also too, wait a second. I'm gonna pull this up on my phone real quick too. Did he have both of his arms? Because he only had one arm. I remember yeah, he has
Oh, you
both
talking
arms.
about Reese Fonz? Yeah, I think
Oh
he
my
did. So
god.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
he's playing someone else, or maybe he like
Oh god.
perfected the formula or something. I don't know.
Because I remember they used old footage because they weren't available to film on set for No Way Home. They used stock footage from Thomas Hayden Church and they used it for Riz Fons when they get quote unquote cured at the end of No Way Home because they were both filming stuff, but that was still them doing the voices for the new
Yeah.
characters for the characters. There's all new dialogue, whatever, for Sandman and Lizard, which I liked. I like that was actually their voice. It wasn't like someone else playing them. Obviously, you had Willem Dafoe, Jamie, and you got Alfred Molina coming back to actually play the characters of the villains. But dude, if he's not playing Kirk Connors and Venom, this is gonna be the Ralph Boner thing all over again from WandaVision. And it's just like,
Yo,
oh,
yeah, what a
come on.
disappointment, bro.
I'm just like,
That
come
shit was I
on.
was so pissed because it
So
was like
stupid.
one low key like just bring back the Aaron Taylor Johnson
Yeah.
Quicksilver, but like okay, so it's Evan Peters. So what does this mean? And then it's just he was just some actor, and it's like a dick joke or a boner
Ugh.
joke. I'm like, bro, for real.
that, that pissed me off, dude.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all, Douglas.
I remember texting, bro, and I was like, you watched it before me, and you were like, I was like, really? You were like, yeah, bro, that's what it was, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, okay, all right. That one that the Denzel train day. All right, you motherfuckers. I'm putting cases in all you
Yeah,
bitches.
what did Cillian Murphy's dad say? Like he was like this in that movie Inception, he was like, "Do you know what my father's last word to me was? Disappointed."
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's how I felt with that Evan Peters Quicksilver in WandaVision. I was like, bro, come on now.
I just like, what are you guys doing here? Do you think? Okay, I mean, in that early predictions, do you think we're gonna see a Spider-Man at all or mentioned in the last Venom movie?
I kind of feel like we are because I feel like I think people said that they saw like a young Peter, like there was like a young kid and like a teenage girl and then like an older woman, and apparently, or at least the rumor is, I don't know if I don't remember if it's been confirmed yet, but like that was like young Peter Parker and like Aunt May. And I don't know who the teenager was, but like it's like, is it gonna be like you remember how in the Joker like they had Bruce Wayne in it, and then like at the end they kind of showed his origin. I'm like,
Yeah,
is Venom the Last Dance just gonna kind of do that?
yeah,
Because also I will give it this, and I didn't really realize it um until I saw the trailer because they made the first movie and like basically like I didn't really know where it was leading. Like at the end of No Way Home, or at the end of Venom Part Two, it seemed like it was going to lead to him being in the MCU. So I was like,
yeah,
okay, I can't wait to see that. And then they kind of pulled the rug out from under us on that. And now like I'm watching this trailer and it's like this whole like last dance thing. And like when I look back on part one and part two, it's like wow, this whole trilogy really has just been about the relationship between Venom and Eddie Brock, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Because like
it's
one of the last things he said in the first one was "We are Venom," so it's like okay, well that's their arc. They learn to become literally symbiotic, and then part two, when like with like romantic movies, sometimes in part two you have it where they break up because now it's like oh my gosh, are they ever going to get back together or whatever? And it's like they kind of legit did that. It was a breakup movie, and then they got back together at the end. And now this one is the last dance, and it's him dancing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's. I think he said something like sentimental, like to Eddie at the end of the trailer. I don't remember what it was, but it was kind of like it was like, oh wow, like this might be like the quote unquote end of Venom and Eddie Brock. Like it's like is one of them gonna die or both of them gonna die? I don't know what's going on. It's the last dance.
I like the name because it also was
I'm
named
just talking.
of a documentary I love about the Bulls, Chicago Bulls. So I like that name of it. But but yeah, who's gonna? I think
Oh yeah.
Tom. I think Venom might just go away, and I think they're gonna they're gonna separate. I think Eddie's gonna live, and then Venom's gonna go away somewhere. That's my prediction. I did want to bring this up real quick. This is not
That would be so
confirmed.
sad, but it would be such a good ending though.
I feel like then Venom can go somewhere. Venom can like maybe come to the MCU and see maybe Spider-Man 4 or 5 with Tom Holland. Like, hey, what's up, bro, or something. This is again. I'm not. This is all not confirmed. This is all what I read on Reddit and Twitter. So do not confirm. But three different sources I read this from different sources, and this says a plot leak for Venom 3 states Andrew Garfield is Spider-Man in Last Venom Last Dance. It says that Andrew was stuck in Venom's universe after the events of No Way Home and is trying to find a way back to his homeworld. And that was from three different
Wow,
sources I
that
read.
would be amazing. I would love that.
I don't I want to believe that. Be like, yo, like kind of side story B of like, yo, this guy got stuck here or whatever. Like, because again, they don't explain how the fuck Vulture gets to Morbius's world. So you definitely use that,
Yeah, it
but
was very random.
it's so random. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it with you. Obviously, when we're gonna see it and review it on the show. Obviously, when it comes out in October. I'm just nervous because also too. I'm kind of surprised at putting it also because Joker 2 comes out like a week or two before that movie comes. And I'm very surprised that they're putting them out so quick, in between each other. I mean, it's good for the movie business. I love that. But I'm like, it's going to be a little bit crowded October with that right after Joker 2. Um, I don't know, man. I'm not I'm not hyped the way I was with the first two Venom movies. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing because it's supposed to be his last time as Venom, which makes me kind of upset 'cause I wanted to see Tom Hardy really kick the shit out of Tom Holland. Like I really want to see Venom, like an actual Venom, not Topher Grace, Venom. I want to see an actual, Venom fight Spider-Man, and that little tease at the end of No Way Home was promising. But now we're seeing this thing on the trailer. It's like maybe it wasn't Marvel. It's like we saw Tom Hardy disappear after the spell. It's like, dude, again, spoilers for No Way Home. Sorry, spoilers for No Way Home, everybody. Just heads up. But that spell sent him back home. And I just this thing now of like, well, maybe it's not canon. Maybe it's like that didn't happen. It's just like don't do this thing now of like maybe it didn't happen thing because it's like you had a story, stick with it. Stick with it.
Yeah,
And I give a lot of
right.
props. The girl doing this is a first time director, but she's written the other two Venom movies before. So she's written the last two Venom movies. I think she co-wrote the second one with Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy's writing this one as well. I know Tom Hardy loves his character. I love that for him. I love that he loves the passion for this character. But if he's a fan of this character so much, I would be like, hey man, can you at least try to bring a Spider-Man into this? It doesn't have to be Tom Holland or Tom or Andrew or Toby, but like I want to have a Spider-Man to like in my universe to like kind of like have a real threat against. But I don't know, man. I think right now it's just kind of like weird tit for tat between Sony and Marvel. Like, look, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. It's like, guys, y'all should be working together to figure out a common ground for this character of like who you can't use and who you can use, because this kind of walking around
Mhm.
eggshells thing for not having a Spider-Man in these movies, it's like what? And to your point too, that like it's supposed to be the MCU Prowler of Donald Glover and Across the Spider Verse. It's like, so what's fair game? Like what's fair game here?
Right.
I don't know. Do you okay? So say Venom 3 ends and it's supposed to be the last one of Tom Hardy. Do you ever think we're gonna see Tom Hardy really ever face against Spider Man? Like maybe in an MCU movie.
I feel like what would be cool if like since it seems like this Secret Wars movie is going to be kind of a reset or leading into a reboot for Marvel
Yeah.
or like a soft reboot. It would be cool if like after the universes come apart and then like all coalesce again, that would be a cool way to have Tom Hardy be in this new MCU where like it has all the characters now because now it has like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four and it's gonna have the X-Men pretty soon and just like a soft reboot and that could be kind of like how he comes through. I think that would be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, because why not? If you can work a way to find them in there.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, are you guys just gonna do like another Venom, or like if something happened, like let's say that there was some multiverse shit going down in this third Venom movie, and how you said they separate. What if like Venom, when he goes back to his like quote unquote home, he somehow he gets back to the MCU universe, and then that version of Flash Thompson becomes the new Venom, like how he did in the comics, where he was like Agent Venom or something like that. And then it's like one of the Spider-Man sequels could be like him trying to hang out with Spider-Man and be like his best friend slash like partner because he's Agent Venom now and blah blah blah. And maybe even like that's how you get the black suit Spider-Man or something like that. I don't know.
That
And
would
then
make
like they kind of switch and then they learn how to be like actual heroes and they learn how to be cool with each other and stuff like that.
that would make sense. That would make sense, especially if with rumor of if they're gonna bring Hugh Jackman and Toby or possibly Andrew in Secret Wars. Like, just use everyone. Use everyone that like because that would make a lot of money. And to your point too, you need to find and bring back the audience, especially. So like, think about like like think, to your point too, like having everyone these back, that'd be a great way to bring everyone in to like, hey, finally have it. But I don't think. I mean, I'm really curious to see like right now they're still developing Spider-Man 4 as of now. We'll see how that goes. But like, I think the big tease we all
Mhm.
thought
I
after
heard it might be
Spider
like a street level movie. That would be really cool.
that would be I would like that a lot too. Actually, 'cause I think that maybe in a Spider-Man 5 if they do a Spider-Man 5, then you can bring Venom in if that goo quote unquote goo we saw at No Way Home is in the MCU still or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe even do a little Daredevil crossover cameo.
yeah,
Yeah.
make it street level again. I think a lot of people want to see a street level Spider-Man again because I feel like after Homecoming and No Far From Home and No Way Home, it's like okay, we had that really kind of like spectacle Spider-Man. Let's bring it down to kind of like street level, kind of like
Hmm.
maybe Daily Bugle stuff back in college, stuff like that. Kind of going to maybe getting an internship somewhere, stuff like that. Like and then like street level stuff, Kingpin, Daredevil, team up, whatever. Do it like that where you can just like hey like really make it more like kind of like more down to earth this time with he has his own suit now. We saw that at the end of No Way Home. Like he's doing his thing now. It's kind of friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not this kind of big multiverse character anymore. But yeah,
Yep.
I don't know, man. Again, I'm looking again. I do like Tom Hardy a lot. I like everyone involved, like the cast, everyone. But I don't know. Again, I've embraced the weirdness of what it is. I don't mind that. I know the horse thing was a big thing on social media. Like, oh my gosh, Venom horse, that's cool. But if you can deliver like either something like on par with the other two or like something kind of even better, great. But you just gotta make it make sense. I don't want to sit there in theater with you and be like, huh? What? Like, wait a second.
Hmm.
That wouldn't happen. And I feel like that's in a way Sony's kind of trying to just like, hey, look at us. Like, we have the power. And again, as they should. Sony owns the film rights to Spider-Man and the characters like, Venom and Morbius, all that. So they can do what the fuck they want. But like, I think as fans, especially after now Morbius and Madam Web back to back. Yes, we had Across Spider-Verse a year ago in between. That's its own kind of thing, obviously. But with the two live actions back to back have been Morbius and Madam Web, you guys really gotta like deliver something kind of promising to us now, and I hope that's the case with Venom 3 and Kraven the Hunter. But again, we've been burned before, so I'm not trying to get too excited. Can have the faith, keep the faith, obviously, and have the faith. But man, we've been burned so many times, Nick, where I'm just like,
Yo.
I've been broken hearted too many times. Don't let us down now. But
Yeah,
I'm
please just give us some good. Like it would be cool to see him fight Spider-Man though, for real.
I really do. I really do want like Spider-Man, Venom, like a true character, a true like team up, a true like battle of that. Because like I love Venom as a villain, but
Hmm.
I think they're still just kind of figuring out like what's working and what's not working. But I think they should definitely, and I mean definitely, learn from their mistakes of Morbius and especially Madam Web, where Madam Web is now like considered one of the worst movies of all time, one of the worst super comic movies of all time, and you can't look at that and be like, oh, what a win. I'd be like, no, no, we fucked up. We need to regroup and just like just really get our shit together. And because I'm telling you, if Venom's
Hmm.
not good and Craven's not good, there people are gonna riot for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
for real.
but we'll see. October 22nd, I believe it comes out.
Yep,
Oh boy, oh
yep.
boy.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, so this is kind of like ties into our next topic, which is obviously Bad Boys. The rumor I heard almost a month ago, I would say, or maybe a few weeks ago, is that the front runners right now of Spider-Man 4 directing is Bilal Nadil, who just did the last two Bad Boys movies. They did Miss Marvel, and they were supposed to do Being Batgirl, and then that did not happen. Obviously, got pulled, got canceled. After seeing
Hmm.
their work in both Bad Boys for Life and Bad Boys Ride Die, I'll get to our review in this in a little bit. But now seeing both their work in those movies and seeing what they did with Mrs. Marvel, how do you feel about them doing a Spider-Man movie?
Honestly, I think that would be dope. I liked Miss Marvel a lot. I thought it was really fun, and they kind of maybe revived is a bit dramatic of a word, but they kind of like, they at least brought back Bad Boys, and it was
Yeah.
like it was fun and it was in a refreshing way, and so it's kind of like if he and they excuse me, not he, pardon me, but they know how to work well with Marvel, obviously, so them doing a more street level Spider-Man could be fun. I would kind of want them to make it like a little bit darker of a movie,
Hmm.
especially since it's gonna be more street level. Um, but yeah, like I wouldn't be totally mad at that though.
So when I came home from the screening with you on Monday, I went online to look at the kind of like people's reactions, stuff like that, and a lot of people were saying, a lot of critics and reviewers were saying, let them do Spider Man. And I was like, Spider Man, and I looked online. That was that. I saw some article I read was that they were on the front runners for the job because they're in the Sony family with Bad Boys. They work with Marvel, right, with Miss Marvel.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like in a way. I mean, again we have not, obviously we don't know much about Batgirl, though, why it was canceled because of really bad test screenings. Apparently, again, we haven't really heard the full kind of the real story. Obviously, it's still, as a filmmaker, I would be kind of upset and embarrassed of like, wow, like we're doing this movie. We have Michael Keaton coming back. We got J.K. Simmons. We got Leslie Grace is going to be our Batgirl. Like, you have a great cast involved, and then they get pulled. It's like, whoa, what? Like, wait a second. As a filmmaker, I'd be like, well, what the hell? Like, it's kind of public embarrassment in a way of like my film just got pulled under my
Yeah,
rug.
so you kind of wasted like all of our time and all of this money too. Like that's wild.
Yeah, as a performer too, as a acting, directing, no matter what's your point, money, like people who finance this movie, I'd be like, what the hell, like, And again, the story we
Hmm.
heard is how it was bad test screenings, and it was just like, oh, it wasn't good for theatrical, it wasn't good for streaming. It's like, and I get it, obviously when Discovery bought Warner. Warner was in a really bad state of mind with their day and day release. All the money they wasted on those HBO movies the year before. They wasted all the money on Dune and stuff like that. Like they were in a really bad. They really kind of hurt a lot of money the year before. So I understand the idea of like, how about we clean up a lot of this mess that we just inherited of the really bad, call with these the heads of the WB. So when Discovery bought WB, they're just like, we're gonna clean up a lot of this mess. However, there's a lot of backlash with that, obviously, and obviously with the Coyote versus Acme movie that was now apparently like shelved as well. Is that you got to be careful of like pissing off the wrong people, because these are also people that you work with creatively. You don't want to lose them as creatives and stuff like that. So I feel for Ball on a Deal when they got screwed over. Again, we will never know the full story, obviously, of what happened. But all we know is the movie was not good. It wasn't releasable, but it is what it is. But people do love their work, obviously, and Bad Boys for Life, Bad Boys Ride or Die, and Mrs. Marvel. So like they were doing something right. So when I heard they were doing Spider-Man, that then the front runner again, I think what studios love to do too is that the Sony has a lot of confidence, in Bad Boys for Life. They have a lot of confidence in Ride or Die. Obviously, the reviews are pretty good for the most part. We'll see how the box office is this weekend, but Sony has a lot of faith in these guys with their property. And I think, again, before we do our review of the movie, but I do think after seeing Bad Boys Ride or Die, seeing a bit of Mrs. Marvel, I didn't finish Mrs. Marvel, but I liked what they did with their episode, and now seeing Bad Boys Ride or Die, I wouldn't mind that actually. I think to your point, I want to see like a dark, gritty, kind of like how they handle Bad Boys for Life, kind of the dark, kind of like dark part of Bad Boys for Life. I would love to bring that over to Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Like you and I both talked about at the screening on Monday. We're like,
that we don't.
The darkness kind of it's like the really kind of dark material of like the themes of Bad Boys for Life. But if you brought that into Spider-Man, you get something really cool and really kind of just like edgy and dark and gritty. And I think as we all saw the Will Smith thing with the camera and everything, and talk about this in our review as well, but the camera work in Bad Boys Ride or Die is out of this world crazy. It's out of this world, like, holy shit, this is awesome. It was dope. It's awesome.
It was really, really fun.
I think what we're missing a lot of Spider-Man recently is the web slinging. I think Andrew Garfield's movie, despite how people feel about them, the web slinging, the kind of shooting around the city, kind of like whipping around the city, was praised. I'm like, this is so cool. And if they can take what they did with the Bad Boys movie, with the camera work and like the cuts, whatever, and for Spider-Man, I would love that. I think it's all about who can write again, John Watts is walking away obviously from Spider-Man. We know that, but whoever is going to write Spider-Man for, I think that's definitely the big key. It has to be a Spider-Man fan or know the character, but I think Bilal and Adil definitely know how to get great action, great comedy, just kind of really emotional moments if they have to. We've seen that with both these Bad Boys movies and Mrs. Marvel. I wouldn't mind them as Bad Boys, as Spider-Man, as the Spider-Man directors. I think it's really cool. And again, studios love to hire within. Studios love to hire, people they like working with. And I think what I'm hearing from Sony that they love working with these guys. So hey, if Bad Boys Ride or Die does well this weekend, box office wise, I bet you, bro, on Monday, knock knock knock, hey, Spider-Man 4 ? And I think they might have conversations with the studio already. But if this movie does pretty well or does on par with their expectations, I bet you come Monday or Tuesday they go, hey, let's talk about Spider-Man more in detail. Like I really think that, and it would be cool to see them kind of like have another redemption at a superhero project. After the fallout of Batgirl. I could see it, man. I could see it. I remember they said Justin Lin, and I was like, yeah, I like Justin Lin, but I don't see it. Or they're like, oh, Jon Favreau, and I'm like, yeah, I like Jon Favreau, but Sam Raimi, and I was like, all the names they put out.
With like Sam Raimi, it's like if you're gonna bring him back for a Spider-Man movie, you gotta bring him back for Spider-Man for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man not for Tom Holland. Like I'm sure it would be a good movie, but it's like that's kind of weird.
It only makes sense. Like it makes more sense to do it with Toby than it with Tom. And I think so out of all the directors I've heard so far, I mean, Drew Goddard would have been a cool one. I would have minded Drew Goddard. Like that would have been so cool. Like
that would have been dope. Yeah,
because he was part of Daredevil, obviously, with Netflix. But I think from what I've seen of Bilal and Nadeal, for their camera work and their action, like seeing them do like kind of gritty, dark, street level Spider-Man with like Daredevil, oh, dude, sign me up. So I will say, out of all the directors we've heard so far, bro, I kind of like the idea of Bilal and Adil doing Spider-Man. And that's something that I'm really kind of manifesting in a way that, hey, listen, if Bad Boys does forward as well, again, getting good reviews from critics and other reviewers. What's the one before we do our review? Actually, and we end on this, but like, I'm I'm gonna see what the box office prediction is for Bad Boys Ride or Die. Let's see. 'Cause I think they were like
Gotcha.
40, 50 mil, I want to say. Uh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So Bad Boys for Life overperformed last 4 years ago before COVID with 62.5 mil, which is really good. 3 day, and it made a lot of money that weekend.
Yeesh.
It made almost like 500 mil worldwide. Um, it doesn't say really what. Okay, so according to the rap, it's tracking for a 45 to 50 mil opening weekend, and that's fine, but that's
Okay.
not 52 what Bad Boys for Life did back in 2020. I think a lot of things at the factor obviously now the box office now is doing terrible. Mad Max is not doing well. Furious not doing well. Obviously, the Fall Guy did not do well. If not doing pretty well, Apes did pretty good for the most part, despite the budget. Obviously, um, obviously right now, Will Smith's controversy still is still lingering, unfortunately.
Hmm.
There's a lot right now running on this movie, and I don't know, man. I'm nervous in a way. I'm nervous in a way because I'm just like I really want this movie to do well because I want to see these guys to do more work, obviously, and you know.
Hmm.
I don't know. I want to see the box office have a life again because I don't want to see this movie flop. I don't want to see Quiet Place flop. I don't want to see those movies flop because I'm like, yeah, you're hurting the business, man. You're hurting what we love.
Right, right.
Um, but I think if 45 if movie comes in around 45 50 and if it meets projections or predictions or performs, I think Bilal and Adil have a good chance of staying with Sony and doing the Spider-Man movie. I still think if the movie kind of doesn't do as good, it
Hmm.
still does kind of well. I still think they have kind of a shot doing Spider-Man. But right now, we're in a weird time right now at the box office of like what's going on, what's selling, what's not selling. I think we all know the biggest movie to come out now since COVID is Spider-Man No Way Home with $261 million opening weekend, almost made $2 billion.
Hmm.
And so the movie's doing something right. Uh, but again, that was 3 years ago. We were kind of getting out of COVID. It was like the hype of this movie. It was hype around maybe Andrew Toby showing up. You're seeing all Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina coming back. But I don't know, man. I'm nervous. I'm nervous for again. It's not our money, obviously. We didn't invest in this movie. We didn't invest in Bad Boys. But
Right.
um, but I know. I can see them do. I can definitely see them do Spider Man. I'll see this before we do our review of the movie. If they don't do Spider Man 4, what Marvel or DC property would you want to see them do?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? I would give for DC. I would give him a Teen Titans movie.
Mm, okay, okay. Why that one?
Yeah, I feel like that could be interesting. Yeah, because kind of like how we've been talking about, like they know how to bring like a kind of fresh, energetic energy to things, and they're good. They're able to balance kind of the lighthearted and the more like darker, like emotional scenes. Like they're really good at doing both, and so I feel like that kind of lends itself well to Teen Titans because you have a group of characters that like each of them kind of feels like a weirdo and like an outsider, and
Okay,
each of them has their own like personal trauma, and they kind of bond over that and become like a found family. So their directing style would just kind of like I feel like naturally flow with that.
I can see that.
And again, they're good with action scenes. So I was like, oh yeah, that would be dope.
I can see that. I was if I would kind of
Yes,
want to see them
sir.
do a
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Batman Beyond movie because I feel like the action I've seen from them in
Oh,
both
that would
Bad
be dope.
Boys, like the
That
action
would
is
be really
really
cool.
like a really gritty bad kind of like a Bad Boys type of kind of like Batman Beyond. If you can do some kind of gritty, kind of make it like like Blade Runner esque. But no, I still want Denis to do a Batman Beyond movie in my dreams,
Yeah.
in a perfect world. But if you can get like if they can do
Yeah.
something like cool and gritty, but
For
like
real.
kind of like street at the same time, but like that Batman with Terry McGinnis, something like that, like make it really cool, like hey, like futuristic, but still like badass. That kind of top tier action to do with Bad Boys, stuff like that. Where I don't think anyone has typed a Batman Beyond movie just yet. The anime stuff is awesome. Obviously, the Return of the Joker, I love that movie so much. Um, but I love the series,
Oh yeah.
obviously,
Classic. Classic. Classic.
but I don't think anyone has the balls to really kind of approach. Okay, 'cause it's a tough IP. Obviously, out right now with James Gunn rebooting everything, and he's doing his thing. And obviously with the DCEU not doing well, it's like, oh, here we go. But I think I
Mhm.
hopefully down the road when the stars align that people have the balls enough to like, hey, let's approach a Batman Beyond movie. Something kind of cool, or like I know people want to do a Spider Verse style of Batman Beyond, which would be kind of cool too. That would be really cool animation wise. Don't get me wrong, but I would just love to see someone do a Batman Beyond, like a Batman Beyond live action, and do it right, do it justice. And that's a big ask.
Yeah, that would be
That's a
dope.
big ask. That's a big ask. Um, but if you can do it right, and I feel like these guys, if they do go like to DC after being burned and they don't do Spider Man, it would have to be cool to see them kind of approach that because it's a very different kind of. Different kind of like acquired taste for Batman Beyond, despite being loved by us fans, stuff like that. But no one has that kind of the right
Mhm.
approach. I feel like for the IP, but we'll see, we'll see. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to see what the guys do next. But yeah, that's rumor is Bilal and Odile might be doing Spider-Man 4. So I hope if they do it, awesome. If not, as long as get the right people involved and attached to the project, that's all that matters. If you love the characters, that's all that matters. Oh, boy can dream,
Yes, sir.
right? Boy can dream.
Right, right, right.
All right, my friend. So, as we all to the show, this week's big movie, guys, is Bad Boys Ride or Die, which is hitting theaters this weekend. It is the fourth installment in the Bad Boys franchise, following up the third for Life, which again was a big hit right before COVID hit back in 2020. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are back as Mike and Marcus. And again, if I think we all were surprised of how good Bad Boys for Life was. And Bad Boys Ride or Die is when their former captain is implicated in corruption. Two Miami police officers have to work to clear his name. Nick, as my fellow Bad Boys enthusiast, lover of this franchise, fans of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, what was your thoughts of Bad Boys Ride or Die?
So I'm gonna do my best not to spoil it because I do recommend y'all see it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really fun time. The action was good. I feel like there were a couple of new characters in this movie where I wasn't really feeling like what they did with that. And again, without spoiling, Bad Boys 3 kind of ended in a way where it seemed like Will Smith was going down like a certain direction character wise, and I feel like part four kind of it didn't really. It's like it kind of did it, but not really how I was expecting them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Martin Lawrence was really funny in this movie. There was some stuff kind of with his character where I felt like they kind of went like one too far. Like in the third one, how they kind of had it was like really light, but it kind of seemed like there was like maybe some mystical supernatural type shit going on where they first introduced the witch character, the Bruja, or I might be
Mm-hmm.
mispronouncing that. If I am, I apologize, but it kind of seemed like at the beginning of the movie, it was kind of like, yo, what is up with this character? Because like they were like really making it kind of sound like she was a witch or something like that. They kind of did something a little bit in this movie, but with like a different character, and it was just like, but it didn't really feel like they followed through on it, so it just kind of it ended up falling flat. But the like Doug was saying earlier, like the camera work was really fun in this movie. Like it was just dope. It had a really fun energy, and it was kind of like not a maybe not a frenetic energy, but it was definitely unique. I hadn't
Oh
it was
yeah.
cool to see it in a Bad Boys movie as well. Yeah, and they I feel like they bring it full circle in a very, very interesting way at kind of towards the end, which I liked how they did that. And it was a fun movie. I heard rumors that like they were trying to develop a part five. I kind of feel like this one was a good note to end it on, to be honest. I don't think that they need to keep making these. If they make part five, I'm definitely gonna see it, but it's kind of like, yeah, because what else can you do with it at this point? Because also, like, I was like the villain was he was interesting, and I like the actor Eric Dane that they got for him, because he was on Euphoria, Grey's
Yep.
Anatomy, and he played multiple men in X-Men 3. But it was kind of like they didn't really like kind of go. in as interesting a direction with the character as I had hoped.
Hmm.
It just kind of he felt like a little bit one note. Um, but yeah, I do kind of feel like this was a good movie. This movie ended on a good note. And it's like if this was the last one, I think that would be a good way to close it out on. I don't think they need to make part five at this point, but if they do, then I would definitely check it out. Maybe, but maybe just don't make part five.
Come on, man. Part five, like the other day, is the rise of Jada Pinkett Smith. That's what. I can't take credit for that. I saw that on
That was her
Twitter.
in that Wolverine and Deadpool trailer.
Yeah,
I don't know if y'all saw her.
she's coming. She's coming, guys. She's coming. She's coming.
Yeah.
She's coming, guys. No, you know what? Yeah, I love this franchise. We grew up with Bad Boys 1 and 2, obviously, and I remember seeing For Life when I was in LA. I remember I called you, like, yo, you see, I saw it, and we talked about it for like an hour on the phone when I was in LA because we were like, yo, like that shit was crazy. Like the thing with this again, spoilers for,
Yeah, that's
but
my
like
favorite one. Number three is my favorite one.
it's good because I think all of us were like, okay, now it's been 17 years since part two. I think all of us were nervous when Bad Boys for Life coming out. The trailers looked pretty fun. Like, okay, Michael Bay's not doing this one. Who are these two guys dealing Bilal? Like, these are new guys. Who's involved with it? Whatever. Joe Carnahan was attached at one point. It was like back and forth with different directors, whatever. But they were the right guys, kind of bringing new blood into the franchise, obviously. But I remember watching it. I was like, holy shit, this is great. This is awesome. This is so much fun. The action is great. The comedy is great. But I think it was definitely more on a serious note on the third one. It was kind of a little bit darker. I was like, ooh, like yeah, they talked about the witch and about like the thing with his son, and I was like, oh wow,
Yep.
it got dark. I was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, wow, I'm really impressed with this kind of direction, whatever. And I was like, cool. And they announced the fourth one. Obviously, I think the fourth one was announced right after that, or it was like in development because the fourth one made so much money, and obviously it was the biggest hit of 2020 because when COVID hit, not a lot of movies came out before March, so it was like that was the biggest grossing movie of 2020 was Bad Boys for Life. But I'm with you, man. This movie is so much fun. This movie is so much fun. If you're a fan of this franchise, definitely go see this movie on the big screen. Mike, Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, their chemistry is still iconic. It's funny as ever. They work together so well. The action's great. Again, these Bilal and the deal know how to shoot action just awesome. Like to Nick's point as well of like very unique, different approaches to action. A lot of cool drone shots. A lot of cool camera work. And if you watch Will Smith's behind the scene video on social media, is that like how he operates this kind of thing with the guns, whatever. And again, I love this thing in the trailer. It's so cool. The shot in the trailer where Will Smith throws the gun to Martin Lawrence, and the camera goes with the gun to Martin Lawrence. It's so fucking cool. We saw it in the theater. I was like, yo, there we go. Let's go. But there's a lot of cool things in this movie. Again, I said the action's great, the comedy's really funny. I think they give Martin Lawrence more to do in this one. I felt like compared to the last one. Which I think I've been hearing that from other reviews and other podcasts and other critics that like they like how they give Martin Lawrence. I do think at times he was a little too goofy, where he was kind of like the goofy guy, a little too much at times. But again, Martin Lawrence is really good at kind of bringing comedy to everything he's a part of, obviously. I think he's a little too. I think with some things with like I won't spoil the scene, but like with sugar and candy, where it was kind of just like okay, like all right, we get it, we get it. He wants his sugar or whatever. But what I do like about this movie a lot, now after rewatching all three movies, not seeing this one, I would recommend watching all three movies before this one, just because of the callbacks. There's some amazing callbacks in this, whether it's certain characters from the first movie, certain like a Skittles joke, obviously, in the trailer. There's some really good callbacks from the first two, especially. After watching the first two again the other day, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Or there's a certain person that you saw, like, oh, that's that guy from that movie. I was like, oh shit, you're right. And there's kind of like cool flashbacks to things in part two, kind of like stuff like that. I really love when movies can kind of like go full circle, like you said too, and kind of just like, oh yeah, like they kind of brought this back. Oh, they brought this back or whatever. Like yeah, I like that a lot, and I really do admire this movie for doing that because it shows like how Bilal and Adil like love this franchise, like they're committed to this franchise and they look kind of bringing things back kind of like full circle. despite him just being just in a video format, this movie, I thought Joey Pants as the captain was still, had a lot to offer in his small screen time. But I think what this movie.
Mhm.
This movie a lot. What the part of the movie that I liked a lot was that the idea of second chances, and there's certainly about second chances I like about it. Like I won't spoil, obviously. Like there's things about second chances of like, hey, like what a certain character what goes through, or what a character will go through with someone else about second chances of like, hey, you know what, this person might have done something wrong, but I take full responsibility for these actions, stuff like that. I kind of like about that, but not as much as they did with part three. To your point about with the witch and how the dark themes of Mike, who was Mike Lowrey and stuff like that, where I was like, ooh, this is very interesting. This is very deep for a Bad Boys movie. A point where like, I feel like, no offense to Michael Bay, love Michael Bay, but like if he did part three, it would have been like, yeah, jokes about farts and asses, stuff like that, and like dick jokes, like kind of his style of humor in a way. But part three, to your point, Nick, you said when we came out, you're just like how they explored certain themes and the greediness of like what Mike went through when Mike has discovered about his life, stuff like that. I was like, whoa, this is pretty dark, but I love that about it. With this for sure felt like more like Bad Boys 2, of like humor and action and comedy, where like after rewatching the movies, where I was like, yeah, this is for sure the Bad Boys 2 of a sequel. Like they definitely lead heavily into the Bad Boys 2 in this movie with the humor and the jokes, stuff like that. A lot of funny cameos. I was like, oh, that's funny. Like there's some cameo that you and I were like, damn, that dude got fucking just burned. It's got lit up. I won't say who it is. I won't say who it is, but we were like,
Yeah.
oh damn. I thought. I thought Tiffany Haddish was kind of funny, but I was kind of just like, okay, it was kind of just like getting that. It was that Bad Boys 2 level of humor, where I was like, they're going back to the Bad Boys 2 of humor, of kind of just like this kind of the jokes they're going for, and I understand why it happened, but I was kind of just like, all right, I get it. They're trying to bring it back to humor and stuff like that to kind of move the plot forward. Funny cameos here and there. There's one thing that you and I said, and I thought about it too after watching the movies. It's not really a spoiler, but like, where the hell are Marcus's sons? Like
Yeah, like because I remember that they were in the first one. I think maybe
they
the
were two.
second one,
They were
but
two by the pool.
we haven't seen them since. So like, what's going on?
We haven't seen their. We haven't seen
I
their.
don't remember if they were in the third one or not, but here, like, it was just kind of like, what's going on?
I don't.
Where they at?
I rewatched the third one. I don't remember seeing the kids in the third one. I just remember seeing the daughter. The daughter was getting married to Reggie, obviously. And I was like, oh, what? But I kept saying, we're like, a movie, we're like, where is Marcus's sons? Like, wait a second. And I do think, again, this is as surprising for a fourth movie in this this franchise, obviously, was that like there are things that are pretty predictable. That when you and I were like, oh, this person is XYZ, like, yep, okay, for sure. Oh yeah, that's that person. And then when it happens, you and I were like, oh yeah, no shit. We were like, yeah, surprise, like, oh yeah, saw that coming. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I like how they still added the fresh blood with Vanessa Hudgens and what's the tall blonde kid's name? Oh my god, what's his name? He was in Hunger Games.
Alex something.
Yeah, is it Alex Ludwig? Is that his name?
Ludwig,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
right.
Alex Ludwig, yeah, and also Paula Nunez, and from she was Rita in the last one too, but like, and also Jacob Sapio, who was the son, obviously from the third one. I really like how they kind of incorporated like people from the third one. It was like, yeah, we forgot about them from the last movie. Like, no, they brought them over into this one. That was really smart to keep it going. I think to your point too, I had the same feeling after seeing three. Where I was like, cool, three was great, kind of like how Planet of the Apes felt to me, where it was just like, wow, those three movies were great. It's a great trilogy. I'm good. I'm straight. And I think I felt the same way with Bad Boys 1 and 2 and For Life, where I was like, cool, all three. I grew up with 1 and 2. They're big parts of my childhood. Why I love this movie. Why I love Will Smith, and why I love Martin Lawrence. And 3 was like, this is great. Why? And then obviously fourth was announced, and we were like, okay, but for why? I think you guys, in our Planet of the Apes review, we were like, okay, but for why? And I think this one still delivers a great fun time in the movies. I think it's still a very worthy sequel. That wasn't just like, oh, dude, what were they doing, man? Because you and I've seen movies where like no sequel, you and I were like, what are you guys doing? Like, come on now, like this is Expendables 4. Like, come on, come on, guys. Like, it's like, what are we doing here? What's the point of this movie? And I think Bilal and Adil, and I think the writers of this, and I think obviously Will and Martin, is that like they had a passion for this one. But I'm with you. I think that this one to stop. Just the whole Michael Jordan thing. Stop.
Hmm.
Just stop. Like just this. You have
Right.
you have a great set of four films. Two films are very nostalgic for people like us, '90s kids who grew up in those movies. Now these new generation of Bad Boys fans for life, and now Ride or Die. This is the way it ends too. It's like, you know what, full circle things. Let's end on this on a high note. You don't have to do a fifth one or sixth one, whatever. Some things should just be end on a high note. I think you have a perfect example of this. Is like, you went out on top. Just no matter what the box office is this
Yep.
weekend, you went out on top. Perfect, perfect. And no spoiler, obviously. There's one character in this movie that just saves the day and that steals the movie. And you called it too. You're like, I hope this person gets this kind of treatment. And it happens, and you're like, "Yep." And then it happens, and it was a big crowd, please. People were going crazy. They were like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" And like, you and I were like, "Yo, this is awesome. This is hilarious. This is great." And then when it happens, we're just like, "Oh!" And the crowd, people were clapping, and like, I love seeing movies like this, screening or not screening, whatever. But like, people were clapping, laughing, cheering, having a good time. And this is why movies like this are so important for the movie business, where it's just like, hey, you're in a crowd with strangers, you're laughing at the jokes, enjoying the action. It's fun, it's intense, the action's great, it's high stakes or whatever. And again, I think they were smart. It's a very good summer movie, obviously. You're in Miami. The heat, obviously. It's a summer soundtrack. Will Smith is very good at summer blockbusters, as we all know. It's a very good summer movie. And I do hope, the thing I guess I'm concerned about is that if people have not forgiven Will Smith since the slap, how this will affect the movie, unfortunately. But I think this was a good movie for him to do post the controversy, because I feel like people love Bad Boys so much, where it's like, hey, do a movie that, like, hey, your fan base loves you for. Even though they might be still mad at you, they still love Bad Boys, or you can still support the movie whatsoever. But I really do think this is a fun movie at the theaters. It's a fun time. It's a worthy sequel. We've seen sequels in the past. Again, I think about it, from Beverly Hills Cop to, I mean, all these movies, a lot of sequels are just like, just stop. They're not funny. Like, they're not like Major League and Caddyshack, and all these movies are just like, just stop making these sequels. They're just not funny. It's why I'm kind of worried with Beverly Hills Cop 4, where I'm just like, don't have to like just make it so like campy or heavy nostalgia. Just like, yes, there's nostalgia parts of Buffy Bad Boys for Ride or Die or for life, but to your point, you said earlier that like Bilal and Adil inject new blood, inject new life into these two movies, whereas it's like they feel fresh again. They just feel fresh again, and they're just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I was really, again, I was hyped to see this with you. I let smile on my face. I was clapping. We were like, yeah, let's go. This is crazy. It's intense. It's violent as hell at times. It's just a fun movie. It's a really fun movie. I think it's a very worthy sequel. Again, if you're a fan of this franchise, definitely go see Bad Boys opening weekend. See it with a crowd. See it opening weekend. Don't see it at home. Don't watch it at home. Don't watch it for streaming, whatever. I think this movie deserves the full admission of a price. I'm giving this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Not 8. I gave Ride or Die. I gave For Life 8.5. This is a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's a very worthy sequel. It's a lot of fun. Again, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence have not missed a beat. Their chemistry is just so iconic still. It's so funny. Their banter is so funny. The way they banter and then they shoot, and they kind of just like how they interact with each other. It's really one of the most iconic, duos in Hollywood history. And it still works almost 30 years later since the first movie. And it shows why these two guys are just good at comedy, good at action, because they just work together so well. So I was very impressed with this movie. So I'm giving it a solid 8 out of 10. With my friend, out of all the Bad Boys movies, how would you rank them now, as of now?
As of right now,
As of right now.
and because I'll say this, you gave it an 8 out of 10. I would give it like a 7 point. Excuse me, pardon me. I would give it, I think, a 7.8 out of 10.
All right.
So
All right.
to answer your question, I would rank them in order of my most favorite to my least favorite. And keep in mind, they are all very, very, very close.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
3, 1, 2, and then 4.
I like that.
But I liked 4 though. I really enjoyed 4. It's just I feel like it didn't quite hold up to 2 a little bit. And that it was like a little bit because of what I said in my review, where it was like some of the quote unquote seemingly supernatural elements. It kind of felt like they didn't really follow through with them, like the way that they did with part three. And
Yeah.
it was also kind of integral to the story. Here I was expecting it to be more integral to the story, but it kind of seemed like they were just riding off of what they had done with the third one,
Yeah.
as far as that quote unquote seemingly supernatural stuff is concerned. But and I feel like the comedy was good. I feel like it could have been a little bit more violent because that was something
I see what
I
you
was
mean.
admittedly missing from the Michael Bay ones. Like yeah, like in part two, like it felt like a really gritty action movie, but it was still just like the it didn't really like it, the comedy didn't suffer from it or make it suffer. It was just as like violent and gritty and dramatic as it was comedic. You know what I mean? So with three or with four rather, it kind of seemed like they were leaning a little bit more on like the humor. So like I felt like some of the grittiness was kind of missing. It left a little bit to be desired. So yeah. So it's at the bottom of the list, but I do still really enjoy it. It is a really fun movie.
Again, it goes back to our Planet of the Apes ranking. It was just it's hard because again, like those movies are all so good. It's like there's only a bad movie in the bunch, and I think the same with this. So like, there's not really a
Right.
bad movie in the bunch because they're all so great. Um, but I am with you though. I do think after rewatching the two of them, I was kind of like, yeah, I think it could be a little more violent. Sorry, excuse me, in this movie where I was like, yeah, because
Hmm.
again, to your point with Bad Boys 2 does not hold back. In the scene where like the camera they go through the bullet hole, the camera work with like, that goes around when has the two guns, obviously, Mike has the two guns and they go like that house of the camera goes around, great camera shot around and around or whatever. And 2 was violent as hell too. 2 was super violent. And the stuff with the cars, when we're in the car,
Hmm.
and on the highway, the cars coming down, whatever, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm with you on that for sure. I do think
Yeah.
why Doc Law points, unfortunately, for this new one, Ride or Die, is that it's little too predictable at times. We're just like, yeah, we saw it's gonna come, and yeah, the villain. So who plays the villain again from Euphoria?
Eric Dane.
Eric Dane, who I like a lot too. I like him a lot, but I was kind of feeling this movie a little bit. I was just like, it's a little predictable. Like his when they give his backstory, I'm just kind of like, okay, we've seen that before. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not like God, it's kind of a villain, but it was kind of it was almost there where I was like, it's kind of a little predictable. It's kind of like a little cliche, but again, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, another one of these villains. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here, guys? No, it was never like that whatsoever. But there was times where it was a little too predictable. We're like, hey, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. This person's bad, and it happens. Just like, all right. And for a fourth franchise, it's bound to happen. Don't get me wrong. I know it's gonna happen eventually, but like, there's times where it was a little
Hmm.
too on the nose of like, oh, wonder who this person is. I wonder who this person is, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, we get it. We know who it is, but still a fun movie. I'm gonna go. It's tough, man. I was this morning. I was like, how am I gonna rate these movies? I'm gonna go two. I'll probably give. I'll probably give. I'll probably go three as well. So two, three, and I think I would go four, and then
Okay.
one. Just 'cause I feel like I watched one the other day, and one's a lot of fun, but one's a little fun. But like obviously it's Michael Bay's first movie. It's a lot of fun, but in terms of rewatchability, I was looking forward to rewatching two and three a lot more than I was one for some reason. Like I love the opening of two with
Yeah.
Michael Shannon's playing the fucking like clan
I
member.
know that's
And
crazy that
it's
he was in that movie.
the fucking huge shootout scene, bro. It's like, oh my gosh. And and
Yeah.
it's so when he shoots he shoots Marcus in the ass, you shot me in the ass. It's so
Yeah.
it's like it's like that wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. He goes, I know it was you. And it's I thought it was really funny. Also, the Reggie scene obviously is so iconic. And two, he goes, who the fuck are you? And
Yeah. That's probably my favorite scene in that movie.
it's so funny. It's how you 15? You look 30. And it's so funny. And Will Smith on a podcast that it was really funny. He was saying that was I think it was Dennis, the actor who plays Reggie. That was his first movie ever, like first movie ever.
Mhm.
So Michael Bay told Will
Oh
Smith,
wow.
told Will, he goes, "Hey, you and Marcus just pretend to be mad at each other. Like you're mad at each other." Oh, that's what it was too. And there's a great. That's why I love callbacks. and he's in the fourth one so much because and two at the door in Bad Boys 2 he goes chitty chitty bang bang motherfucker and it's not like a spoiler but he says it again in part 4 and I was like that's right. Mike says it in part 2, and I'm like, wow. Again, that's why 4 of the callbacks. That's why everybody, please watch the 3 movies before. There's some really good callbacks. You're like, oh, that's right. In part 2 or part 1, and he says that, whatever. So definitely do yourself a favor, and watch the 3 movies before seeing this one. But anyway, back to it though. I was definitely looking forward to rewatching 2 and 3 a lot more. That was 1. Again, one's a lot of fun. Tay Leone's great. The chemistry between the 3 of them. Again, it's iconic, obviously, because it really kind of put Will Smith and Marlon Wayans more on the movie action, kind of like on the map at their Martin and Fresh Prince, obviously. But again, all 4 movies have a special place in my heart because again, there's awesome action comedies. I feel like we're not getting a lot of action comedies nowadays that are on this level of good and quality. It's kind of like either a little too much hard on the action or too much on the comedy, where like the balance isn't there. Or I think if you look at the franchise as a whole, it's a great balance of action comedy. And again, too, you think about like chemistry and dynamic duos. You think of like, Lethal Weapon. You think of Rush Hour. You think of You think of Bad Boys. And it's really iconic to see like how that movie is kind of like this. 30 years later, these movies are still like so relevant to the pop culture, and still people remember Martin Lawrence and Will Smith because of these movies, stuff like that. And again, Michael Bay put on the map because of these movies, stuff like that. Jerry Bruckheimer had another hit on his hands with these movies, and again, they just work for what they offer in terms of fun action comedy with great leads, have amazing chemistry, and the banter just works. So yeah, I'm gonna do again. Just go. So you had 3, 1, 2, 4, and I'm going 2,
Yep.
2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1. And again, great movies. I would definitely watch 4 again sometime soon. Again, guys, go to the local movie theaters this weekend. Go if you haven't seen Furiosa yet, you haven't seen Fall Guy yet. See those obviously, but if you want something really fun this weekend, a fun action movie, fun action comedy, Bad Boys Ride or Die is definitely the movie for you this weekend. Go check it out. And before we do our one-on-one close out the show, I want to thank our friends again at KTAR and 98.7 Arizona Sports for the invite. We appreciate you guys listening to the show. That means a lot to us, seriously. Thank you for the invite. Again, as we all probably know, we're not on somebody's press list yet. We're working on it. Our goal is to see 200 Apple Podcast ratings. We're working on that right now. But our friends at KTAR and Arizona Sports 98.7 out here in Phoenix, thank you guys for the invite. That means a lot to us. We had a great time with the movies, so thank you again for the invite. We do appreciate it. All right, my friend. So for our new listeners, if you're new to the show, we always end the show with our one and ones, our one TV show recommendation and one film recommendation for you every week. You might not like it. You might say, I'm not a fan of that movie or show, but you know what? Hey, it's fine. All film and TV is subjective. We just want to give out recommendations of movies and shows that we love, and we always end the show like that. So, Nick, my friend, I'm starting with you this week. What are your one and ones of this week?
So for this week, my movie one-on-one is a Tyler Perry film called Acrimony, starring Taraji P. Henson, released in 2018, I believe. I just watched this movie the other day, and it was really interesting because it's kind of about like a woman betrayed, and it's like you follow her, and she has like when it starts off like in media res, and like it paints her as kind of like a really angry / like dangerous person, or like ex-wife, because it's about like a divorce, like her divorce.
Yeah.
But then like the movie goes on, and you kind of see why and how she got to that point. And apparently there's like this debate, like, was she in the wrong? Was she in the right? And it's one of those movies I would you basically got to see it, because I'm not gonna spoil it, but I would recommend it. It was really interesting. It was a really fun watch, but some of it was kind of like because I said this to my fiance Kayla when we were watching it. There were a couple of scenes where it kind of felt like really haunting, but it was done in like a really like well filmed and compelling way. So it was kind of like it was like a little bit scary, but I don't think it was like necessarily supposed to be. But it was kind of like, maybe like shudder a little bit. But it was a really good movie. And for my show, there was this mini series that I saw as a kid. It was called The Tin Man, and it. I think I saw it on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was basically a retelling of the Wizard of Oz, and it was kind of like a modern kind of almost like not futuristic, but like it was like a fantasy land. Like it was like a really alternate take on it. And it was where like Zoe Deschanel, she was the Dorothy character, and she was raised by her parents in like the regular world, but then she finds out they're just robots, and they were like supposed to like keep an eye on her in like our regular planet Earth by like her mother, who was I guess like the queen or something of Oz or something like that. So then she goes to this like Oz place, and it's all different. Like it was like Alan Cumming, I think, as like the Scarecrow, and the Cowardly Lion was like a genetically enhanced like soldier or alien life form or some shit. And then the Teal Man, or the Teal Man, the Tin Man, excuse me. You know that actor Neil McDonough
Yeah, I'm looking right now on IMDb. Yeah, I never heard of this before. Yeah.
is really interesting. But he plays the Tin Man. But in this story, like there's like it's 10 men, but or maybe well he's basically like a cop or a bounty hunter or something like that. So Tin Man is like it's like a nickname for him because he supposedly like has no feelings because that's how like rugged he is. But then you find out like oh he does and blah 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 blah. But um yeah, it's a really interesting watch, and I think it's basically a mini series right now, but it was originally I think it was supposed to lead into just an ongoing television series in this take on the land of Oz. Excuse me. But it was really interesting, and it was a fun watch. It's
Yeah.
kind of out there though. It's definitely a little bit weird.
What did it air? I'm looking. What did it air on originally? Do you know? Sci-Fi Channel. That makes sense. Sci-Fi
I kind of want
Channel.
to say like 2007-ish.
2007, and it was on the Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah. Wow. I never heard of this.
Yo,
I'm looking right now. Yeah, people involved in the writings. Zoe
I
Deschanel.
recommend it.
Yeah, Alan Cumming, who I hated him in the original Spy Kids when he was like stealing the parents. I was like, what are y'all doing? What are you doing?
Oh,
But
Alan Cumming, you
Alan
said?
Cumming, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, obviously he was. I remember. Yeah, obviously he was Spy Kids, but I remember him as Nightcrawler in X2, and he was a good Nightcrawler. It was creepy. When I saw him at first, he was Floop. He was Floop in Spy Kids. That's right. And I remember like
Yeah, he was like that whole like I remember like Tony Shalhoub had like three heads or something. That shit was just ungodly to me as a
it
kid.
really was. I was like, what? And the thumb people, I was like,
Like it was
what
I
the
was like,
fuck?
what the fuck?
But I
That
thought
shit. I was like, I don't understand the physiology of these guys. I just conceptually this is insane.
how does this work? Um, it's right. Yeah, no, I thought he was a good Nightcrawler in X2. He was a good
No, he
Nightcrawler.
was really cool as a Nightcrawler. I wish he would have been in part three, or like I wish we could have seen more of him.
Yeah, me too. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, what a shame. Um, all right, for me, I'm doing a movie that's turning 10 this week, actually, which is really hard to believe, and that is Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow. I love this movie.
Oh, classic.
And it's hardly 10 years. I'm just like, oh my God, 10 years? Jesus Christ. I'm like, oh, slow down. Um, um, I remember seeing the trailers for this when it came out, and my friends and I were like, I don't know, because I think Oblivion came out the year before, and Oblivion was cool, but I didn't like love Oblivion. I was like, it was cool visuals, but I was like, it wasn't all that for me. I like Morgan Freeman, obviously like Tom Cruise. I was like, it's cool. But I remember the trailers coming out, and I was like, "What is this?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"This is like I don't know." And it was the very generic. This is not the end. That kind of generic ass music they use all the time for like apocalypse movies in like 2010s. That really generic. The robotic sound or
Yeah,
whatever. I was like,
it's
okay,
all like
what?
auto tune the shit or whatever.
Yeah, yes, thank you. That's what it was. And I was just like, I don't know, man. I was like, listen, I like Chuck Reacher. I like Mission Impossible, but I was like, I don't know what this is. And I remember it came out and people were like raving. I was like, oh, this movie's fucking great. I was like, okay, whatever, sure. And then my friend Given and I were like, we got thrown out of a movie theater before. We was trying to see 22 Jump Street with my buddy Carlos at the time, and we got thrown out for not being 17. We're like, all right, whatever. And so we're like, all right, cool. We left. And I was
Dang.
like, and no refund, nothing. We were like, all right, so got some food. It was like summer break 2014. It was like in between our sophomore and junior year of high school. And Chicago downtown used to have this amazing. So you know how
Mm-hmm.
we had the AZ Mills IMAX at AZ Mills. That's the full 143 IMAX. We used to have one of those in Chicago downtown Navy Pier. And so what? True story. Me and Given one day, same day that we got thrown out of the movie theater with our friend. We parted ways. So me and my boy Given walking down Navy Pier, like, yo, like, was playing IMAX. IMAX in Chicago were like $30 at the time. We're like, who got IMAX money, man? Like, this is expensive. And so
Oh wow.
we were kind of just like looking around, like, all right, whatever. And Navy Pier is kind of this big thing downtown Chicago. There's always, it's like a tourist attraction. They have everything, Ferris wheel, all these shops. It's a big, big tourist thing downtown Chicago. But the only IMAX used to be downtown, right there, the real IMAX. And so we're upstairs one time, and Given says, "Hey, look over here, look over here, look over here." And it was like kind of this weird like doorway, right? And we found a way to sneak into
Mm-hmm.
the IMAX, like not paying for a ticket, and we like, and it was 3D too. So like, we fucking like we dug into the recycle 3D glasses, or whatever, and we both grabbed the VR glasses. And we snuck into the theater, right? And we saw the movie for free. And
Yeah.
and me and Given were like, "It'll be cool, bro. Be cool. Sit on the back, whatever. Like, be cool." And we can get caught. But the whole time I'm like sitting here, I'm like, this movie's fucking awesome. This movie's great. I was just like, wow. 'Cause I love being proven wrong
Yeah.
by movies too. I'm just like, oh, I don't want to see those movies be bad. And it was awesome. And I love being proven wrong by movies. And me and my boy Given, we were like, yo, this movie's great. It's like literally, it's like Independence Day with Groundhog Day with like more high tech sci-fi stuff. And it's awesome. Emily Blunt is awesome. Tom Cruise is awesome. The great Bill Paxton's in it. It's a great Doug Liman who did the Firstborn movie, did Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He did Jumper. All these movies. A great director, and Chris McCoy wrote the script. It's an awesome movie, and when it came out, like literally no one saw that movie. Like it did not do well. It was a very low grossing movie for Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. But when it came on DVD and Blu-ray on VOD too, people were like, "Yo, what is this movie?" And people were like, "Yo, this movie's great." And I think it was kind of like when it came out on DVD and Blu-ray, like it was a second life in a way of like, "Whoa, this movie's awesome. This movie's great." And I think it was confusing too because they changed the title of the movie. It used to be called Edge of Tomorrow, then it was called Live Die Repeat, and then it was like Edge of Tomorrow, Live Die Repeat. It was like, "Yo, pick a name, and stick with it. Just stick with the name."
Yeah, it was like a couple of years. I didn't know what the movie was actually called, bro. I was so
Right?
lost.
It was like, yo, guys, pick a name for your movie. And I think
Yeah.
WB
I was
didn't know how to market.
confused.
WB didn't know how to market it. They didn't know how to like really kind of like title the movie. So it was just like really bad marketing on their end. It was bad marketing, and it was just like, what is this? Because you don't really know about the whole Edge of Tomorrow, the Groundhog Day thing of like live, die, repeat, whatever. Until you saw the movie, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And I remember seeing that, I was like, this movie's fucking awesome. And there were sequels rumored about it. I don't think they should do a sequel personally. I think the first one's great as how it is. It's a really great sci-fi epic action movie.
Yeah.
Funny at times. Again, Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt have awesome chemistry. The visual effects are amazing. The aliens are scary as shit. It's a lot of fun, and it's a movie that came out like literally no one saw. I was handling this movie too. I'm like, no one's gonna see this bullshit. And I saw it. I was like, I gotta shut the fuck up. This movie's awesome. This movie's great. It's turning 10 years this week, which is crazy. But yeah, probably one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies, like probably top 3 favorite Tom Cruise movies. Love it. Very underrated. So I'm going with Edge of Tomorrow as my movie of the week, and then my show.
Nice, nice.
I'm trying to think of a show, man. I my kind of like what I've not recommended before in terms of shows. Last week I did the one on YouTube on Undeclared. My list of shows I could recommend. I got one. It's called a Superstore. This is on Hulu. I love kind of workplace, comedies. Obviously, Parks and Rec, The Office, Workaholic, stuff like that. I'm a sucker for those kind of shows, like Abbott Elementary. Like I love kind of like workplace kind of sitcoms. And I remember hearing things about Superstore like when it came out years ago, and I was like, whatever. And Ruben Fleischer directed some of the episodes. He produced some of the episodes, and he did Venom, Zombieland, 30 Minutes or Less, a lot of movies. And I remember watching it I think I was watching it like right when I got my first boo job at the visual effects company during COVID. I put it on Hulu and I binged it. It was because it was fun. It was fun. It was lighthearted.
yeah.
You know, it was goofy at times. It kind of very it's basically a Walmart. Basically, day in the life of these employees at a Walmart. Very diverse group of people. Like you got just people who are kind of just like kind of annoying. You know, the smothering boss, the annoying coworkers, the ones that don't talk all the time, the ones that are kind of weird, the smelly ones, the kind of like the I'm better than you kind of workers. And again, someone who loves The Office and Parks and Rec and Workaholics, I love kind of like quirky comedies, and it's a fun show. I think season 6, the last one got a little too political and a little too like. It was set during COVID, and it was just like, okay, we get it. And it was like, yeah, COVID this, whatever. And it was a little too real, where it was just like, okay, yeah, we get it. You're kind of too on the nose with this kind of just like stuff. And it was just like making really weird COVID jokes and really weird kind of like social jokes that were just not funny. You're just like, ugh, like this is not funny. You can tell that they were trying to, and it was just like, ugh, yeah, this is not working for you. It's not working for you guys. It's not working for you guys. But I think the first like 3-4 seasons are really funny and really charming, and it's a good ensemble cast too. A lot of like unknown, and like America Ferrara is the big lead, obviously, in that show. But it's fun. It's super bingeable, like 30 minute episodes, 30 minute episodes. It's on Hulu, I believe. Really fun show. Getting good laughs out of it, for sure. If you like Workaholics, you like The Office, you like Parks and Rec. It's not a mockumentary, but it's more kind of just like sitcom environment, stuff like that. No laugh track, but it's fun. It's a fun show. Very very Walmart-esque, for sure. It's like, yeah, it's definitely Walmart, Costco kind of esque, but it's a fun show. Good chemistry with the cast. So I'm gonna do Superstore as my show of the week. It's a fun time. It's a cute little show. Alrighty, my boy. Where can our lovely and wonderful audience find you on the socials?
So you can find me at Donning Vision on YouTube, capital D as in Donning, capital V as in Vision. And you can also find me on Instagram at Donning Vision, all lowercase, all one word. And maybe if you want, you could also follow my my personal. It's at Ahmad Johnson 98. Yeah.
And you can find his next award-winning short film, which is so damn good. It's so amazing, on our link tree on our Instagram page, which is at midwayavenueproductions.com.
You're too kind, bro. You're too kind.
I mean it, bro.
Thank you.
I mean it, man. Our Midway Avenue Productions Instagram, our link tree. The third or fourth link is his short film. And if you haven't already, please check out Nick's article he's featured in. It's so cool. Nick deserves all the credit in the world. His article is amazing. It's on Essence Magazine. Go check it out. Both are like, I think, third or fourth links on our link tree on our Instagram, which is at Midway Avenue Productions. And you can find the show, obviously, on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Again, all at one word, at Midway Avenue Productions. And you can find me personally on Instagram at The Young Jones. You can find me on Twitter or X at Capri Sun, Capri_Sun, SON. And you can find the shows, obviously, at Midway Avenue Productions on all Instagram and TikTok. Again, YouTube. Again, we're growing on YouTube, obviously. And again, you can find the show where you can find podcasts are found, whether it's Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But again, please, guys, rate, subscribe, review the show. It means a lot to us. And as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. If you're new to the show, come back and see us again next week. If you're returning again, we love having you guys back. And as always, my friends, we'll see you at the movies.